Florida has 8,436 miles of coastline, second in the nation only to Alaska. Ironic that the coldest state and the Sunshine State both boast the most shoreline. If someone were asked to name the best beaches in Florida, there is no doubt that Miami, Panama City, and Destin would come to mind. And while they are certainly worthy of this list, they also come with excessive crowds of tourists and high prices for drinks and food. This list will look at a combination of beauty, cost, and crowds, as well as anecdotal evidence from travelers who have been. This list is in no particular order. Stay tuned to the end for 2 bonus beach towns that may surprise you. Number 10 is Anna Maria Island. Anna Maria Island is in Manatee County, nestled between Tampa and Sarasota. This island loses big time when it comes to cost, but it makes up for it in beauty and tranquility. The island is small at only 7 miles long and 1.5 miles wide. The entire island is walkable, and there are bike rentals throughout the island. There is also a free trolley that runs up and down the main drag. The island is expensive, and hotels are few and far between. Vacation home rentals are the way to go, but it will set you back. This beach town is best if you are coming with a group to help offset the cost. In terms of beauty, you have 2 beach options, the Gulf side and the Tampa Bay side. Both coasts have white, sandy beaches and warm, calm water. There are restaurants dotting the shoreline, which are very expensive, but there are also hole-in-the-wall local spots that are cheap, quality, and away from the crowds. Just beware, because like most of Florida, hurricane season is June 1st through November 30th. You can't escape the wrath of Mother Nature. But Anna Maria Island is a small island with a lot of coastline, so the risks would be greater if you found yourself stuck there during a storm. Number 9 is Delray Beach. It's a half-hour north of Fort Lauderdale on the Atlantic coast, which means you can actually get some good waves. The city has 2 miles of public beaches that are seldomly as crowded as Miami or Panama City, so you can be more relaxed and feel like a local. Delray Beach has a thriving art scene, most notable Pineapple Grove, which is situated downtown. The main drag is dotted with art galleries, street food, and live music. In terms of cost, you will always find things to be slightly more expensive on the coast, but unlike the Florida Keys, Delray Beach caters a lot to locals and is significantly more affordable. People who have visited Delray Beach often say that what they love most about it is the lack of tourists and the local feel. Number 8 is Islamorada, an island in Florida Keys. Know that this list isn't even going to touch Key West. It's expensive, overcrowded, and overpriced. The beaches are beautiful, but you would never know it since it is wall-to-wall people. Islamorada, on the other hand, is cheaper, has more untouched beauty, and is still within driving distance of Key West, should you feel so inclined to brave the traffic. Resorts on Islamorada are cheap, even by Iowa standards, and include paddleboards, kayaks, gym access, and tiki hut-style waterfront bars. One of the coolest attractions is the History of Diving Museum, which, according to its website, is dedicated to collecting, preserving, displaying, and interpreting artifacts, antiques, books, documents, photographs, and oral history relative to the history of diving. There are cheap taverns, pizza dives, and local eats throughout the tiny island. It can get crowded at peak season, but each resort has its own private beaches, which gives the illusion of seclusion. Number 7 is Longboat Key, which, despite its name, is not in the Florida Keys, but on the Gulf Coast. There are plenty of public beaches, and as of 2021, the island has been working on major beach enhancement projects to better beautify its natural environment. The population is only 8,000 off-season, which is the best time to visit. During the summer, the population balloons up to over 24,000 people, which wreaks havoc on local traffic. Luckily, everything you need is on the island, from doctors, restaurants, clothing shops, and more. If you are a visitor, you can get by on foot or bicycle. Vacation home rentals are your best option to keep costs manageable, and depending on the neighborhood, everything you need is right there. What makes Longboat Key a great beach town is its proximity to attractions, which are easy to drive to off-season. There is the Moat Marine Laboratory and Aquarium, Big Cat Habitat, and Gulf Coast Sanctuary, the Van Wezel Performing Arts Hall, and Lake Manatee State Park. Longboat Key fails miserably when it comes to cost, but makes up for it with all it offers. Number 6 is Naples. Sadly, this is not the Naples on the Mediterranean coast of Italy, though it is named after its mother city. Before you get too bummed out that you're not in Italy, know that at least you're safe from the looming volcano Mount Vesuvius that destroyed Pompeii in 79 AD. But that's neither here nor there. Though there won't be anyone speaking Italian, you will find just as much beauty and splendor in this seaside town. Naples is quiet, family-friendly, and boasts crystal blue water. The best time to visit is between October to May, when the climate is a refuge from winter, but not overwhelmingly hot and humid. Naples is one of the more culturally rich towns, with the Florida Holocaust Museum as one of its cultural centers. Most people choose their beach towns based solely on the beaches themselves, but Naples offers a wealth of culture and education, which sets it apart from the other towns on this list. Naples also has an abundance of game fish, a paradise for hobby fishing. It's cheaper than most of the islands, and is honestly one of Florida's best kept gems. Number 5 is just going to be what it is. We can't deny it. A list of this nature cannot be made without including Miami. It's expensive, crowded, loud, and has so many tourists. You wonder if anyone even actually lives there. However, it routinely makes everyone's top 10 list of must-see beaches in Florida. If you're willing to spend money and brave the crowds, there are some things that you can only get in Miami. One of those things is its Cuban culture. Sure, you can get this in Cuba, but if navigating visas, passports, and travel restrictions is not your thing, then head to Miami. Cuban Americans make over 50% of the city, and over 70% of the city identifies as Latin or Hispanic. This influences the food, language, drink, and art scene in Miami. In terms of things to do, there are no limits. Scuba diving, snorkeling, parasailing, surfing, boating, arts, and music are only a fraction of what you can do on its beaches. So, grab a mojito and head on down to Miami. Number 4 is Panama City. Like Miami, whether it's really the best or not, a list without it would be no list at all. Panama City is good for spring break. And that's it. Number 3 on this list is... okay, just kidding. We can find more to justify putting it on this list. For starters, it's in a great location on the Panhandle, which means you're on a 30A, a main drag that spans many coastal towns and is full of arts, culture, music, and restaurants. One thing that sets Panama City apart is its white, sugar-colored, soft, powdery sand. It is regarded as one of the more beautiful beaches in the state. Because of the Navy base, Panama City used to be a quiet town with mostly military families. But somewhere along the line, it became the mecca for spring breakers far and wide. If you were in college, then come to Panama City Beach in March and April. But if you are a family or wanting to reunite with your old Navy buddies, then go just about any other month and enjoy its natural splendor. It's expensive for the Panhandle, but nothing compared to Miami, Anna Maria Island, or Longboat Key. Number 3 is not far down 30A. Destin, Florida is sort of like Panama Light. Like Panama, it has white beaches and emerald water. But unlike Panama, it attracts more local visitors from other parts of Florida and Alabama. Destin has affectionately named itself the world's luckiest fishing village and claims to have the largest fishing vessel fleet in the state of Florida. Like much of a panhandle, its climate is milder than down south, which makes the city a better option in the summer as it doesn't have the unbearable heat and humidity. Check the local weather before booking a trip in the winter, as it has snowed in Destin. Overall, it's cheaper than many of the islands, but it's still a city on the coast, so be prepared to spend more on food and drinks. Because of its size, however, lodging is easily affordable if you are willing to look around a bit. Number 2 is Tarpon Springs. Home of the music legend Bertie Higgins, Greek culture, and historic sponge docks, there are also beautiful Gulf beaches. Located not far from Tampa, Tarpon Springs is one of the cheaper options on this list. It has a more rustic, almost New England fishing town feel. Visit the Spongerama Sponge Factory, where you can buy natural sponges and loofahs harvested right in Tarpon Springs. Eat some of the best Greek food and check out a Greek cathedral in a city where 1 in 10 residents are Greek and 7% speak Greek in their home. In terms of beaches, there is Sunset Beach Park, Howard Park Beach, and Sunset Beach. Homes in Tarpon Springs are 17% lower than the national average, so it's not only an affordable place to visit, but also an affordable place to live. Number 1 on this list is St. Augustine. Founded in 1565 by Spanish explorers, it is the oldest continuously inhabited European established settlement in the U.S. Check out the Castillo de San Marcos, a 17th century Spanish stone fortress with views of the St. Augustine Inlet, the Alligator Farm and Zoological Park, Ponce de Leon's Fountain of Youth, the St. Augustine Lighthouse, pristine beaches, Spanish colonial architecture, and learn about the Timucua Native Americans who inhabited the region before Spanish settlement. The city also has a vibrant nightlife, bars, restaurants, live music, and art. Try the 2 signature dishes of the city, Minorcan clam chowder and fried shrimp. Since this list is about beach towns, then St. Augustine has no short supply of those, with 42 miles of clear water coastline. From Ponte Vedra Beach to St. Augustine Beach, there will be no shortage of oceanfront. Like many coastal towns, it can be pricey, but not the worst on this list. And now we'll give you 2 bonus beach towns. In addition to its thousands of miles of ocean beaches, Florida also has rivers and lakes that have waterfront towns. If the ocean isn't for you, then check out Crystal River. The river stays true to its name. You can see clear to the bottom, and the best part is that you can see manatees galore. Then there's Willaca, Florida, on the St. Johns River, which is the longest river in Florida. It's a really small town on the banks of a beautifully clear river. It's an old, quiet town of only 700 people. There is an abundance of campgrounds and outdoor activities. Tell us in the comments below your favorite Florida beach towns. Which ones need to be on this list?